just to be a good human being. Figure out what it is that you're good at, and then figure out how you're going to use that to help other people. When you graduate from tertiary studies, you have to ask yourself, am I genuinely telling this person what is going to help them? Or am I telling them am I giving them just enough information, even as a personal trainer or an exercise physiologist or a nutritionist? Am I giving them just enough information to still keep them? It was nuclear medicine, which was my first degree at Sydney University, Cumberland campus. I started there, which is the diagnostic side of a very common disease, cancer. And I didn't mind the theoretical side of nuclear medicine. It's more so the practical side that wakes you up as to whether you belong in that field or not. You don't really know if you're cut out to do something until you're embedded in the environment that concerns that particular discipline of study. And being in a hospital, telling people there is good news sometimes for it. So from there I went into I did a double degree mathematics, so maths, and secondary education.
Became a teacher then?
Yes, became a maths teacher for a long time in maths. And secondary education.
Became a teacher then?
Yes, became a maths teacher for a long time. And it's a way of making sense of things that don't make sense. So it's the desire for the brain and the heart to seek rationale in things, and that's what lured me to mathematics. And from there it was nutrition, and maths go hand in hand, and the science, and basically nothing's an accident. Everything is there's a reason for why we take the path we take, and it was basically just priming me for what I feel like I'm designed to do by nature. But I take pride in helping the average Joe, or helping somebody who's sick, a sick individual that's somebody that's got irritable bowel syndrome or heavy celiac disease or got lupus or any gastrointestinal disorder, or whether it be helping patients at a hospital that's local to me with type 2 diabetes in particular, which is rampant, diabetes and cholesterol. 2/3 of Australians have one or both, and it's
insulin resistance. Is that where it all starts?
It's a relationship with pseudo foods, I believe.
Yeah.
And most of the foods that exist today are not food per se. They're edible. They won't kill you, not immediately anyway, but they are not food for the most part. In comparison to where food, or what we used to eat, or what the ancients used to eat, or what our ancestors used to eat, there's a very, very significant difference between what we deem to be food and what we eat to sustain life today. And it's had a profound effect on our physiology. It's had a profound effect on our neurology. It's had a profound effect on our cognitive functioning and ability, but it's also created a lot of diseases and distress. Another interesting realm of science is neurocardiology, which is the relationship between the brain and the heart. And it's something that we're talking about science, but the first scientists were Greek philosophers and depending on what your beliefs are, prophets. So they were the first scientists, or the first first experts within the sciences. Scholars had to, back in the day, had to be experts in all realms of science. They had to be experts in physics, in chemistry, in biology. So, and they understood back then, and they spoke in abundance about the correlation between the stomach, the brain, and the heart. And we've always looked at them as separate entities when they are all intertwined. Keep you coming back. The medical industry in itself didn't exist before the pharmaceutical industry. It's not the other way around. A lot of people, it's profound how many people would think that medicine, or basically the medicinal expert or the doctor came before the prescription of, or the diagnosis, but it's the desire to sell the medication that created the industry of the doctor, not the other way around. So when you graduate from tertiary studies, you have to ask yourself, am I genuinely telling this person what is going to help them, or am I telling them am I giving them just enough information, even as a personal trainer or an exercise physiologist or a nutritionist? Am I giving them just enough information to still keep them dependent on me so they come back? If that's your fear, you will never master your profession. Without faith, our decisions and our relationships with people, our decisions are dictated by our relationships with people. How we feel is dependent on the people around us, when it shouldn't be the case.
And our experiences as well.
Exactly. It should be, our environment influences us, but the way we feel ultimately should be something that's innate. Always.
You've got your conscious brain, or your conscious mind.
Exactly.
You've got your subconscious mind.
And that's something scientists cannot grasp hold of, that because you cannot measure the metaphysical. How are you going to measure consciousness? Consciousness within itself is a metaphysical phenomena. It's not a physical phenomena. Consciousness is not something that you can measure by using a ruler or using or the help of a cardiologist or a scale, especially a scale. But
physics side about how we're kind of made up of matter, but most of us is energy.
That's correct.
When you're in a high energy state, joyful, playful, excited state, you're kind of vibrating at a different rate.
Absolutely,
what I mean?
and that's what all religions preach. All religions preach to get in touch with your inner child. So there's two ways of describing that, and the English language has childish and childlike. Now, childish is an act of immaturity. Somebody who's acting in an immature manner, which is frowned upon, and that's not what we're meant to be doing, especially as we grow from being children to adults. But being childlike has a very positive undertone, and being childlike is basically you getting in touch with your purity. Being childlike is very different to being childish. Being childish is being immature. Being childlike is interpreting things with a sense of purity, and if you look at the way children interpret things, it's quite pure. They're very spiritual beings by essence, because they've only been in this realm for a short period of time, so they were. Exactly. So they're very close to the spiritual world. That's my belief, because they didn't like the feeling that it gave them, which is a very comforting statistic, and that means that there's room for hope if we work on the youth, which is something that I've always been passionate about from day one.
And doing a bit of teaching during your career,
from teaching to charity work. I've been blessed to be involved with charity programs. There's a beautiful program called Linked Up that I'm part of with Hazem El Masri, and we go and speak to children who are deemed to be high risk because of the background that they come from. We teach them about, we educate them about life. We tell them our story. We tell them stories that we've come across. We train with them. We train them. We talk to them about nutrition. There's workshops on how to read labels. Children are not taught how to read nutrition labels in school. Right, and it's very, very difficult. This is very abstract information to a child. How does a child